Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana bhavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejas vinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 68 to 72 of chapter 2. Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
Nigrihitani sarvashah,
Nigrihitani sarvashah,
Indriyani-indriyarthebhyah,
Indriyani-indriyarthebhyah,
Tasya prajna pratisthita,
Tasya prajna pratisthita,
Ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
Ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
Tasyam jagati sanyami,
Tasyam jagarti sanyami,
Yasyam jagrati bhutani,
Yasyam jagrati bhutani,
Sa nisha pashyato muneः,
Sa nisha pashyato muneः,
Apuryamānamachala pratishtham,
Apuryamānamachala pratishtham,
Samudramāpah pravishanti yadvat,
Samudramāpah pravishanti yadvat,
Tadvat kāmāyam pravishanti sarve,
Tadvat kāmāyam pravishanti sarve,
Sashantimāpnoti na kāmakāmi,
Sashantimāpnoti na kāmakāmi,
Vihāya kāmānyas sarvān,
Vihāya kāmānyas sarvān,
Pumāmscharati nisprihah,
Pumāmscharati nisprihah,
Nirmamo nirahankarah,
Nirmamo nirahankarah,
Sashantimadhigacchati,
Sashantimadhigacchati,
Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha
Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Stitva Syamanta Kalepi
Stitva Syamantakaalepi
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati.
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So last week we were seeing some principles from verse number 72. I had explained to you the difference between being assertive in a factual way and being assertive in an egoistic way. So all masters were very assertive. Because they talk from their experience. From an external point of view, a person may misunderstand that a master is being egoistic. But if you were to closely observe, if you were to go into a little more depth, you will find that a spiritual master is like a child, is very innocent. He doesn't put on any air, he doesn't put on any mask. That is what sometimes unnerves others. See, we are so used to disguising ourselves. When two people meet, this person is wearing a mask and the other person is also wearing a mask. And they exchange pleasantries, they say, "Hi, how are you? I'm fine." And then so many things they say to each other. But if you were to look at it in a little more deeper way, you will find that everything is coming from a mask, a state which they are actually not there. You know, the tendency generally is to hide your thoughts, hide your emotions. I'm not saying you should express everything openly, but what you say and what your bhavana is, what your intention is totally different. There is a big gap. Whereas when it comes to a master, his intention, bhavana, is very strong. It's always for the benefit of others. And anything which he says or does comes from that. Where it is required, he'll be very direct. Where it is not required, he'll be very suggestive. He will neither shy away from being direct, or nor will he shy away from being diplomatic. He can do both. See, a master is one who can consciously, willfully move from one extreme to the other because he is attached to neither. See, when your mind is attached to one particular thing, now if there is anything different from that, immediately you will get disturbed. Now, a master is one who is completely detached. So according to the situation, he will flow like water. The water takes the shape of any vessel into which it is poured. Supposing you have a rectangular shaped can and you pour water, the water will take the shape of a rectangle. If you have a spherically shaped vessel, now the water will take the shape of a sphere. That is how a master is. Whatever the situation demands, he will give. He has no attachment to any approach. That is why anybody who goes to a master will feel very comfortable. Supposing an American approaches a master, he will take the shape of an American. I'm not saying he will put on an artificial accent and all that. That's not the thing. So you should not get the wrong message. I'm saying the identification will be 100% with the other person. So naturally, he will adapt his message according to the psychology of the other person. This is something which you should absorb and practice in life. If you practice this, you can actually get the cooperation of anyone. See, you cannot achieve all your goals single-handedly. You need the help of everyone. So you should learn to flow like water. You know, when Krishna went as a peacemaker, that is, he went to the Kaurava camp before the war to try and stop the war, because it's going to be a world war and a lot of people will die. So when he went there, the most interesting part is, of course, Duryodhana didn't agree to Krishna's offer, so war became inevitable. So it was Karna who dropped Krishna in his chariot till a particular place. From there, Krishna took his chariot and left. Now, when Karna actually took Krishna to the outskirts, it's a very interesting thing which he tells Krishna. Actually, what happens is Krishna gives an offer to Karna saying that you are the first Pandava. You are the eldest brother. That secret Karna didn't know about his birth. So Krishna tells him there, and then he says, therefore you come to this side because you belong here and you are a very dharmic person. You are basically a good person. Why do you want to side unrighteousness? Of course, Karna couldn't do that because he was caught up with his concepts of what was right and what was wrong. So even though he didn't accept the offer of Krishna, he mentions something which is very interesting. He says, Krishna, I don't know why. See, I am so attached to Duryodhana. So Duryodhana comes first to me. But if there is any person whom I really love, to whom all my emotions get streamlined, that is you. And I always wonder, why is that? I feel so comfortable with you. Duryodhana, yes, because he gave me recognition and all that, so naturally I am attached to him. but you have not done anything for me. Actually, you are coming from the opposition camp. But if there is someone whom I really respect, whom I really love, from whom I feel I'm receiving love, it is you, he said. If only I'm not attached to Duryodhana, I will just come behind you. Now Krishna just smiles and leaves it at that, because he knows that Karna will not be able to do that. It is his, he had his own karmas. So what does this show? How flexible the master was, how he was able to adapt to the other person to such an extent where Karna, who was belonging to the opposition camp, felt so comfortable with him. So who is that who can do such a thing? Who is that who can adapt to any situation, who can adapt according to the psychology of the other person? Only a person who is very strong from within. If you have your own insecurities, you will not be able to adapt. It is a person who is completely detached, who is rooted in the self, in the infinite self, who is very strong from within, who will be able to adapt easily. Adapting or being flexible is not a weakness, is not adjustment. See, in a negative sense, some people say, why should I alone tolerate and adjust and all that? We are not talking of mere tolerating. See, tolerance means you're actually a little angry and then somehow you're putting up with it. No. Genuinely speaking, a master has this capacity to adapt according to the other person's nature. And why would a master do that? Only for the benefit of the other person, because a true master has complete unconditional love. So when you have your preconceived notions, when you have your attachments, then you get fixed there. You are unable to move from there. A master is fixed in the infinite truth. He is fixed with respect to principles. But when it comes to application, he is very, very adaptable. When it came to righteousness or unrighteousness, Krishna was very clear. He said, I will be in the side of righteousness. That is a principle. But otherwise, he never hated anyone who was on the other side. So Vidura was the one who hosted Krishna when he went as a peacemaker. He felt very comfortable with Krishna. Everyone, received that higher energy in their own way. Even Krishna's enemies, when when there was a war or a fight, and then Krishna defeated the other person, and just before they died, they always received the higher grace, and then only their soul left their bodies. It is very interesting, the power, the influence which a master has. And that influence doesn't come by any technique. A master is very pure and innocent, like a newborn baby. A newborn baby does not adopt any technique to attract your attention. Automatically your attention gets attracted towards a newborn baby, because the baby is very pure and innocent. So a sthita prajna is in that kind of a state. no ego whatsoever. But when a situation demands, he will be very, very tough also. See, externally, sometimes you may have to deal with certain situations in a tough way. Sometimes you may have to deal with certain situations in a soft way. Depending upon the situation, you should go on adapting. That's why I gave you the example of water. So here we see Krishna making this emphatic assertion because he wants Arjuna to start recognizing his spiritual powers. Because unless and until Arjuna goes beyond the realm of the physical body, the emotions and thoughts, and starts seeing the spiritual aspect of Krishna, he will not be able to receive the higher grace fully. So that is why he says, this is the state of Brahman, O Partha. So I gave you this small homework. Find out whether your assertions are based on facts or whether you're just being egoistic. I gave you a couple of pointers. Like an egoistic person's emphasis is on who is right. He always wants to prove that he or she is right. Whereas a person who's asserting factually, his focus is on what is right, the message, not on the individual. So that creates so much of confidence and positive energy within oneself and in the other person also. Now, why I am giving you these sadhana tips is because you need to approach the Bhagavad Gita with the aim of self-purification, not with the aim of understanding the text per se. That is the difference between yogic approach and intellectual approach. See, when you approach these verses merely intellectually, they will be books to you. They will just give you some information. When you apply the yogic approach to these verses, now these verses will no longer be mere words, but the scripture will become like a mirror to you. Some people ask, what is the need of the Bhagavad Gita? Now my question to such a person is, what is the need for a mirror in your life? You can live without a mirror also, isn't it? But yet everyone uses a mirror. Why? Because the mirror helps you in two ways. One is, when you look at a mirror, supposing there is any stain or any kind of dirt on your face or anywhere, you can immediately clean that. And number two, if you have, if you're going out and you're dressed and you just want to check whether everything is fine, then the mirror becomes very useful. So it is the same thing. These verses, only when you apply the yogic approach, it becomes like a mirror. Otherwise, it is just mere words and concepts. So the yogic approach actually converts the scripture into a mirror. So once the verse becomes like a mirror to you, it helps you in these two ways. It helps you to identify what are the faults within you which you can work on and change. If there is a stain here, you will wipe it. If there is a stain here, you will wipe it. The most interesting part is when you see the dirt in the mirror, that is in your face, which is there in the mirror, you don't go and wipe it externally, you wipe it here. The correction happens internally. Similarly, when you start understanding these concepts in a yogic way, then you will start the self-cleaning process. It will trigger the self-cleaning or self-purification process. That is why the yogic approach is so necessary for life. And number two, these principles also help you to check whether you are on the right path. Just as the mirror helps you to check whether everything is in order. So when you approach it merely intellectually, this is not going to reflect what is there within you. See, it is not only the scriptures, even when you approach a master also is like a mirror. When you associate yourself with a master, what happens is, as you become more and more devoted to the master, that is, the more you surrender to the guru, a strange thing will happen. You will start going within yourself. As your emotions go outward, it looks as if your emotions, thoughts are going outward, but you will be pushed within and the process of self-introspection will be triggered. Why? Because that is, the power of this higher energy. It acts like a mirror to you. It tells you actually what you are. It introduces you to yourself. You can't say, see, some people ask this question, sir, ultimately it's all happening within me. It's my mind. So why should I gain this wisdom? If you have that capacity, yes. But who has that capacity? Can you just close your eyes and go to the deepest layers of your mind and bring out every little thing which you've stored there? That is a very, very advanced level. See, this is your body only. Then why do you require a mirror? If you have the capacity to look at your own face without a mirror, then you don't require a mirror. So these questions actually are not so deep. When you ask what is a necessity, some people say, why gain knowledge? We should only act. Once when I had addressed a group of medical students, I think it was in Stanley Medical College, one student asked this question. He said, why should I gain this wisdom? Shouldn't we focus on karma, action? I asked him, okay, with respect to your field, medicine, tell me what is action? How would you define your karma? He said, seeing the patients, treating them and all that. Then I said, why don't you straight away go and do that? Why are you spending for 5.5 years in the medical college gaining the knowledge, the wisdom? So immediately he understood. So everything has its place. You can't take up one aspect and ask a question like that. So, using this yogic approach, as we are seeing the state of Brahman, as we are seeing the infinite, we are also actually exploring within ourselves. This is very important. When he says this is the state of Brahman, O Partha, he uses the word Esha. Esha means this. This means something which is very close to you. See, when an object is far away from you, you say, that is there, that fan, that table. When something is very close to you, supposing you are standing under the fan, you will say this fan, this chair, this table. So he is deliberately using the word Esha to say that the state of Brahman is so close to you, it is your personal experience. It is a personal experience of a Sthita Prajna. It is not something which needs to be sought outside. In the yogic approach, this is what we do. We seek everything from within. And when you go within yourself, you find that you have this entire ocean of wisdom within you, which you have not discovered. And what is the end of all that? That is Brahman, the ultimate reality. So earlier, till verse number 71, it was said, keep your goal as becoming a Sthita Prajna. You should become a Sthita Prajna. That is up to a certain level. But now he is stepping up the level and he says, now expand your goal. Don't limit and think, I want to become a Sthita Prajna. Instead, that state of Brahman should be achieved, should be realized. See, here words actually fall short, because when we say achieved, then something which you need to do outside, the implication is that. So you even to say that, I want to attain Brahman is actually a factually wrong statement, because it's very difficult to explain it in words. So the state of Brahman, this is the state of Brahman. This means the moment you say Esha, now your focus is turned inward. See, Arjuna was asking about a Sthita Prajna outside him. Now, Krishna being a true master, the Jagat Guru, he is turning Arjuna's focus inward without his knowledge by using this word Esha. This, the moment you say this, now your search becomes very confined. You're not looking here and there far away, This, immediately you've turned inward. That is called the Upanishad. See, Upanishad, near, below and sitting, looking inward, the introversion. Extroversion means looking outward. So, Esha Brahmi Sthiti, this state is something which you need to look within, explore and experience. The word Esha is what prepares you in this line to grasp the deeper message when he says the state of Brahman. The deeper message of that phrase can be absorbed only when you go with the flow. Esha Brahmi, this is the state, so near to you. We have this strange concept that God is far away. You always look up to the heavens somewhere outside you. In the Bible, Jesus Christ kept on talking about the kingdom of heaven. So one day someone asked him, where is this kingdom of heaven? Because they thought it was outside, Immediately Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. So when we talk of God, when we talk of Brahman, the formless reality, the infinite, there is a lot of distance which you feel. You as if you're far away from God and you're walking in the path, and someday you will reach that destination. all this gives as if it is external. Just by using the word Esha, now Krishna destroys all extroversion within a sadhak. This is provided if you use the yogic approach and absorb that energy. Otherwise, this is the state of Brahman, O Partha, we can just pass by, But if you read it like this means so near. This is the state of Brahman, the infinite. So immediately all your attention turns inward. And it is only when your attention has turned inward that you can experience Brahman. When your attention is turned outward, then what you will experience is the finite world. Introversion and extroversion. See, the word introversion is also used to mean being shy and all that. That is not the meaning with which I am using the words here. So, introversion means looking within. Extroversion means looking outside. Later on, the word introversion was used to mean shy, reticent and all that. That is not the meaning here. So as a sadhak, the more you learn to look within, the more you will get established in that infinite state within you. Whenever a problem, you can apply it even from a relative sense. Whenever a problem comes into your life, immediately you will focus on all the external factors, whereas a yogi first looks within and sees what is that factor which within me which has caused this issue. So he will set that right, and invariably when you set that right, the problem will also disappear. A person comes and insults you. That person has insulted me. This is one approach. Now, the sadhana of Esha is this mind has allowed that person's comments to disturb me. So the moment you use the word Esha, now you get a solution. Now, how to train the mind in such a way, how to build the inner strength so that irrespective of what the world is, I can remain peaceful. So all the solutions, the the real solutions start coming to you only when you turn inward. That is why a great thinker said, be the change which you want to create outside. If you want to spread cheer around, if you want to make everyone cheerful, now look within and become cheerful. If you want to help others, look within and help yourself first. Only then you will be able to help others. This is not selfishness. Selfishness means wanting something from someone that is at the cost of the other person, denying the other person something which is due to him or her, and you snatch it away. That is selfishness. This, what we are seeing here is a very, very sacred, deep sadhana of going within, introversion. So, this is the state of Brahman, O Partha. Now start practicing the sadhana of Esha in every situation of your life. If you're not getting the desired results, let us say you're not progressing in your career. Now, one thing is to say that person is coming and spoiling it. No, that situation is not okay. It's always outside. Now, what about this person? Me, the individual. What are the thoughts of this person? What is the attitude of this person? See, it is very interesting when we use the word this person, when we get into the bhavana of this person instead of me, myself, then you move away from the ego and you start looking at yourself objectively. And when you start looking at yourself objectively, you will get transformed. This is the law of life. The more you assert your ego within yourself, the less is going to be the transformation. So, Esha, very powerful sadhana tool. You can take it up and start practicing that. Esha, this is the state of Brahman, infinite. So first, it is to straight away get the experience of Brahman or the infinite is very difficult. So first, you need to turn your focus from outside to inside within the finite. So first, when you say this, you will start experiencing what your body is. That is what, that was the empowerment given to you in the Kaya Tattva program, that's the Secrets of Health, that course which is available online. The more you get into your body in a meditative way, get into your body in the sense, get your consciousness to, become aware of what is happening within your body. So many secrets are revealed. So when you first say this, you will talk about your physical body. Nothing wrong with that, as long as you are objective. Then, as you develop more and more, the sadhana of Esha will deepen. When you say this, you will mean the prana vayu sharira, the prana, the body which has the prana vayu, your aura within yourself. That is what we had in Prana Tattva level 1. Then as you go deeper, as you advance in spirituality, the sadhana of Esha will become even more deep. When you say this, now you will mean the higher pranic body called the Nadi Chakra Sharira, the body which is made up of nadis, the astral tubes, and chakras, the energy centers. Then when you advance further, this means you will talk about the mind. You will refer to the mind. And the mind itself has many, many layers, the conscious layer, the subconscious layer, the deeper layers. So you will start penetrating. The word Esha will mean one thing depending upon what level we are looking at it from. And then you will penetrate deep within you through this process of introversion. And when you say this, you will mean your own thoughts. And thoughts, again, there are so many levels of thoughts. One is just superficial thoughts, external thoughts. Then you will start going into the root discrimination. And if you go further and further, when you go on doing your sadhana, your depth will keep on increasing. And when it becomes infinite, then this is the state of Brahman. It will become an experience for you. When you say this, see, we're not talking of saying the word, we're talking of the bhavana behind it, So when you say this, you will mean the infinite, not these finite equipments. So a master is one who has become 100% introvert. He has turned all his attention within and penetrated all these finite layers starting from the physical body to the pranavayu sharira, and then various layers. And finally, he declares, he says, this is the state of Brahman, this is the infinite. What a powerful statement that is. So as a sadhak, when you approach a master, when you approach these verses, you will naturally be confined to your finite equipments. So you will be able to receive the energy according to what your level is. When it is said Esha, what does this, the word this mean to you? If it means the body, then that much energy you will be, to that extent you will be able to absorb this message. So when you surrender to a master, what happens is he temporarily uplifts your consciousness to a very high level that you will start experiencing the deeper and deeper layers of your own personality. In the empowerment programs, programs are not about information, providing information. That is why people who repeat, like the 22-day Kaya Tattva program, once it was made online, many people repeated the program 2-3 times, and their experience was that every time we took the empowerment, it was like a different course. Why? Because every time the consciousness gets uplifted further and your depth increases. So when a student approaches a master, the more he or she surrenders. Surrendering doesn't mean no questions or passivity. That is not the meaning of surrender. Surrendering means setting aside temporarily the limitations of the finite equipments and just attuning oneself to the higher frequency of the master. The more a student is able to attune to the master, let us use the word attunement, because today the ego is so strong that when we say surrender, many people say, why should I surrender and all that. Attunement, you have to attune to the other person, no? If you want to fully grasp what the other person is giving. So when you get attuned to the master fully, now you will start experiencing the infinite energy. So, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha. This is the state of Brahman. Attune yourself to the level from which Krishna is making this statement. So this is the state of Brahman, O Partha. Partha is another name of Arjuna. Now, Arjuna had many names. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, you will find Krishna calling Arjuna by different names. That shows a lot of love, addressing the other person by the name. So, and what is interesting is, depending on the context, Krishna calls him by a particular name. Like in the context of talking about the inner wealth, he calls Arjuna as Dhananjaya, the winner of wealth. You have won all the external wealth, Arjuna. Now it's time that you have to gain this inner wealth. So then the name which is used is always very apt. Now here, Krishna is calling Arjuna by the name Partha. Partha means the son of Kunti. Kunti had another name, Pritha. So Partha means the son of Pritha. Now, when he is talking about the state of Brahman, the ultimate liberation of Brahman, Brahma Nirvanam and all that, we generally don't expect such a name to be used as Partha, because Partha only refers to the relationship, it actually emphasizes the relationship between Kunti and Arjuna. Oh, you're this mother's son. That's what it says. So why is Krishna using that name here? It's very interesting. See, when Krishna was talking all along, it was a little more personal. Whereas here in verse number 72, he's stepping up the level and he's talking about that ultimate state of Brahman. So the moment Krishna does that, there will be a distance created between the student and the master. For example, let us say you're moving with someone as a friend. You don't know who that person is and you're just cracking jokes, you even fight with the person and all. Suddenly, you come to know that that person is occupying a very important position in the country. Now, immediately, it will become very awkward for you. You will become very conscious in the way you move with the other person. There will be a distance which is created. Now, that distance is not conducive for spiritual development. So, in order to establish the closeness, in order to bridge that gap, he calls Arjuna as Partha, because Kunti was the aunt of Krishna. Kunti was a sister of Krishna's father. So Arjuna and Krishna were actually cousins. So by calling him Partha, he is establishing the closeness, so that Arjuna feels comfortable. See, whatever I'm telling you actually happened in real. There was a very rich businessman. He used to go on a holiday to some place, and there he actually got a lot of friends. Those days the internet and all was not so active. So he made a lot of friends there, and they were all very simple people from the village. And once a year he used to go there and really have a jolly time with them and come back. That used to de-stress him. He was one of the, he was among the top 3 or 5 in the world in terms of riches. But they didn't know him that way. They knew him as a very simple person, as an ordinary person. So what happened was, one day somebody told them, you know who that person is, and they showed the newspaper cuttings, is that he's worth so much. All those information was provided to them. The moment they got all that information, then they became very, very reticent. They started, they became very hesitant to move with him. This is what he says in his interview, Those people became very shy. Earlier we used to joke around, we used to play together, we used to run around in the beach and all that. But now they were afraid to do that. The moment they knew that I was so rich, I was so powerful and all that. He says, because of my riches and power, I lost some really, really good friends. Because I found it extremely difficult to get them to the earlier state of comfortability. So that is what will happen to Arjuna if Krishna suddenly declares his spiritual state. A lot of distance will get created. So in order to bridge that gap, he uses a personal name, Partha. Partha means we both are cousins. Your mother is my aunt. So he gives a personal touch there. This is the psychology. See, whenever you want to communicate something to someone, the first thing is you need to win the other person's heart. Once you win over the other person's heart, thereafter they will accept anything which you say. See, if you were to think about your own friends, now when a person is your friend, that person will listen to you. If the person is your enemy, what you're saying may be right, but the person will not listen to you. So this is another sadhana tip which we get. When you try to communicate something to someone, let it be your own spouse or your child or your boss or your employee, don't focus on the intellect, head. First focus on the heart. Win over that person's heart, the emotions. Get into a friendly relationship. Thereafter, when you communicate your idea, the other person will definitely pick it up. There are more chances of the other person picking it up. You'll have to, of course, communicate it properly. But this is a powerful tool for communication. Especially, see, Krishna is using that here because he is making a very strong assertion. So unless and until he establishes that personal closeness, Arjuna, there is a possibility of Arjuna resisting because it's so strong and powerful. When something powerfully hits you, if you have no ego, if you're in a state of complete attunement and surrender, you will receive it. But if the ego is there, then you will resist it. So he is handling that part by calling Arjuna in a gentle way, O Partha. This is the state of Brahman, very assertive. And then, O Partha, the psychology is being used here. Krishna was a master psychologist. Every yogi becomes a psychologist also. See, psychology is not a separate subject as it is made out today, but it is an integral aspect of your life. So psychology, in Sanskrit it is called Mano Tattva, the essence of the mind. And that is an aspect of this ancient wisdom. Just we have Kaya Tattva, just as we have Kaya Tattva, the essence of the body. What is the wisdom of the body? Then now we are doing Prana Tattva. That takes a while to master. Then after that, the Mano Tattva is there, which is the wisdom of the mind. So when you learn these psychological tips, the Bhagavad Gita is full of such psychological tips. Now when you learn those tips, it will become very useful for you. It will be very easy for you to communicate whatever you want to communicate to others. Otherwise, you may be saying the right things, but it may be having the opposite effect on the other person. Sometimes parents ask me, why is it that my children are not listening to me when I am saying what is good for them? Because you are not using the right psychology. You are not flowing like water, adjusting to their trend, their psychology, and you're not talking their language. You're not winning over their hearts first. You're taking the position of a superior, of a parent, and then you start advising like this. Now, the children will resist. So this is the state of Brahman, O Partha. So much of love, so much of affection. So when you develop this refinement within you, you will become so polite that the other person will have no choice but to become friendly with you. The other person will have to accept you. When you are so egoistic, now the other person also will go against you. When you become so polite, now it is only a question of time. A fight requires two hands, no? Now supposing, you go on giving unconditional love. Again, this is not being passive. Don't confuse it with being passive. We are talking of being affectionate, having the identification with the other person and appealing to the other person's emotions. So when you do that, then slowly the rapport will be built. So this is the state of Brahman, O Partha. Having attained this, none is deluded. Na enam prapya vimuhyati. So prapya means once you attain this, once you get this, he says no one is deluded. Another powerful statement. Muhyati. Muhyati is derived from the word muh. What is the meaning of muh? Muh means fainting or loss of consciousness. So what is the delusion he is talking about? We will see that, because you need to understand first the delusion which you are in. When a person is in a state of delusion, that person will not know that. A drunk person will not know that he is drunk. Haven't you seen a person who is fully drunk and he's not able to walk normally also, he's falling, and you go and try to help him, he'll say, "Don't touch me, I'm steady, and he'll fall. The person who drinks thinks that his behavior is normal. It's the other person who can see that the behavior is not normal. It's the same thing. Because alcohol has conditioned, you've temporarily got into a state of delusion there. So once you get into that, you don't know what's happening. Now, here when he uses the word vimuhyati, that is a person who is deluded, he is talking about the spiritual delusion which everybody is in. What causes the spiritual delusion? It is the ignorance. What is this delusion? Loss of consciousness. Fainting means you lose your consciousness. So your consciousness, when it is fully alive, when it is fully expanded, it is nothing short of infinite consciousness. We keep on saying, no, you have infinite powers within you. You have infinite powers within you. Why? Because that is your true state. But you can never ever understand that when you are in a state of delusion. It is like a catch-22 situation. When a person is drunk, is under the influence of alcohol, he cannot understand what he can understand when he is in a sober state. It's the same thing with respect to these spiritual truths. When you are caught up in this spiritual delusion, and when he says this is the state of Brahman, you will not be able to relate to that fully. Yet, when you do your sadhana, slowly the delusion will start going away, and that is when you start getting established in the state. So your consciousness, chit, is actually belonging to the infinite dimension. Chit means consciousness. So your consciousness is actually infinite, but today, due to the delusion, you are confining your consciousness to the finite dimension. When your consciousness is expanded to the infinite dimension, which is what the truth is, then your powers become infinite from within. Aham Brahmasmi means I am that supreme Brahman, that supreme infinite. So today when you say I, you mean the physical body, you mean the mind, the emotions, you mean the thoughts, you mean the pranas. All these are at different levels of finiteness. They are all belonging to the finite dimensions. In Sanskrit, there is a beautiful word called lokaha. Lokaha means, lokaha is commonly translated as world, but actually it means dimension. So from the lowest dimensions, there are thousands and thousands of dimensions leading up to the infinite dimension. So if you take these yogis represented that as a Mahameru, Sri Chakra, what is that? That represents the infinite dimensions. So the lowest portion is a reference to the Bhupur, that is the finite dimensions. And as one advances in the sadhana, in spirituality, the dimensions become subtler and subtler and subtler. And the center point of the Sri Chakra, of the Mahameru, is called the Bindu. That represents the ultimate infinite dimension. See, the Sri Chakra is not meant for mere worship and all that. It is actually the deep introverted science of penetrating your finite equipments and reaching up to the level of Bindu within you. That Bindu, as in one of the slokas also we say, Nada Bindu, we say. When you reach that state of infinite consciousness, then Nadam, the vibrations, you'll start experiencing the infinite vibrations from within. So when you are in a state of delusion, your consciousness will be confined to some finite dimension. It's like, 100% or 90% or 80% or 70%. So slowly you will have to come out of this delusion. But he says, having attained this, none is deluded. Once you realize what your true potential is, once you realize that once your consciousness expands to that infinite dimension, thereafter all your delusions will go away with respect to the finite. He is giving you that assurance. Why is a master able to give that assurance? How is he saying for sure? Because that is his experience. See, whenever you experience something, you will be sure of it. Supposing, let us say, you are talking about a place which you have actually gone, you have visited there, you have stayed there for a while, you've experienced it, and then you come back. Then you tell the other person, see, that place is like this, it has a beach, it has the shopping areas is in one part of the place. You say all that. Now supposing that person says, no, I read in a book that shopping area is in this place, not here. He is saying opposite, or some friend of his said this. You will immediately say, no, it is there only. Now, how is it that you will say it with such surety? I am telling you, it is there only, you will say. What gives you that power? It is because you have experienced it. If you have read about it in a book and you are repeating it to another person, then you will not be 100% sure. You shouldn't be 100% sure, I would say. So here, he is 100% sure that all the delusions will go away. So that gives a lot of confidence to the sadhaks also. Here is a person who is talking from the highest level, and he says, don't worry about anything, just do the sadhana and become one with the infinite. Thereafter, all your delusions will go away. You will attract infinite abundance, infinite blessings from all quarters. So the master, because he has experienced that, is able to provide that assurance and support and instill confidence in the student's mind. When Vivekananda first approached Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he asked him this question, have you seen God? He, as a young boy, his name was Narendra, he used to ask that question to many spiritual gurus and spiritual scholars, but none of them gave him a direct answer. So when he met Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he asked him, have you seen God? To which Ramakrishna told him, yes, I see God more clearly than how you are seeing me right now. Narendra was shocked because he didn't expect such a direct answer. The first time he had met a master, a true master, who was talking from the experience. The moment he heard that, at that time itself, all his ego, everything started melting. The process of surrender started. That is the power of this ultimate experience. So, having attained this, none is deluded. So, whatever problems you are having, they all belong to the finite dimension. Now here is the assurance which Lord Krishna is giving all of us. Yes, do whatever you have to do. That is why we are going to study the Karma Yoga, how to act in the world and all that. But remember one thing, don't get bogged down by all these issues, because what you have within you is the infinite, Brahman. You are heir to that infinite wealth, to the infinite throne. And when you get established in your throne, all the delusions will go away, all your problems will vanish. When I say your problems will vanish, it's not that they will necessarily get dissolved outside, but they will no longer bother you, even if they are there, because you're completely detached and you're one with the infinite. See, certain things can be changed in life. You go about changing them. Certain things cannot be changed. For example, if you want to make the tail of a dog straight, now how can you do that? It's not possible. So weather will have its course. Sometimes it will be hot, sometimes it will be cool. Similarly, so many aspects of the world will have its flow. Certain things you can change, certain things you can't change. Similarly with people also. Certain people who are willing to change will change. Certain others may not change. So if your happiness and peace is going to be dependent on all these factors, then you will never be happy. Instead, see, that itself is a delusion. Wanting to change and make everything perfect so that I'll be happy is the delusion, moha he's talking about. Instead, he says, now turn your focus inward, expand your consciousness to what you truly are and become one with the infinite. Thereafter, all these delusions will go away. The delusion of depending on external factors for your happiness will go away. You will start experiencing that infinite bliss and happiness from within. So difficult to express that experience in words. It is not possible to express that in words. Even your relative experience, you find it difficult to express in words, no? When a boy and girl meet each other and they fall in love, you call them and how much do you love? Can you explain what exactly you're feeling? They'll find it very difficult. It is the worldly love, which they are experiencing. That itself they find it so difficult to express. Then imagine this, the grandeur of this infinite experience of the infinite. So having attained this, none is deluded. We'll stop with that today. We'll go into the depth of this further in the next session, because when we say vimuhyati, it has several dimensions. Similarly, prapya, having obtained, that is also a very powerful word. And then we'll also see the other powerful messages in this verse. Before we do the meditation today, I'll take up one question. This question has been asked by Keshav. He has put it in the YouTube section. Thanks for the wonderful session, sir. When you mentioned that despite any negative emotion, we sadhaks need to continue with Yoga Sankirtan with consistency. However, there are weeks where we do Prana Tattva or Kaya Tattva. In such cases, how do we exhibit our emotions when instructions are being given to us? Can you kindly guide, sir? He is referring to the point which I made, I think, in the previous verse. I had just touched upon briefly the rasa sadhana, when the emotions, how to handle the emotions. So especially when your emotions are very negative, you tend to stop acting. So with respect to sadhana, I said whatever your emotions are, do the sadhana with that flow. Then that emotion, if it is negative, will get purified. Now here what you're asking is, with respect to Yoga Sankirtan, it is fine. But when it comes to Kaya Tattva meditations and Pranada, those of you, you who got empowered, now you've been given certain special meditations. I think in Kaya Tattva there were about 10 or so, and in Prana Tattva almost 10 or 12 meditations, special meditations have been given to you, covering different aspects, Now, your question is, those meditations give the instructions are being given. So there should we focus on the emotions or on the instructions and all that. Now, I'll explain it a little more clearly so that you understand first the basic concept. See, meditation is not following the instructions which is being given there. The conscious mind will only follow the instructions. Meditation is just going deep within, that's all, with full awareness. Then you may ask me why the instructions are being given. Just to prevent you from sleeping. That's all. Otherwise, don't bother too much about the instructions. See, first it is said, sit with your straight back, relax completely, place your palms on your thigh. All that you follow. Then I say close your eyes, you close. Thereafter, learn to go with the flow of the energy. Don't keep focusing merely on the meaning of the words which are being used. See, those words are used in order to create a particular energy. So, if you just completely surrender and just go with the flow, then this problem will not be there. There will be no dichotomy between the instructions and your natural energy flow. People who don't know the English language, many people I know, they do these meditations and they are benefited immensely. How is that? Because they are relating to the energy. So just absorb this idea. First, meditation is not another activity for you to do. It is, see, that's why in the very first stage of meditation we focus on relaxation. That is the baby step, I would say LKG step or pre-KG step of meditation, relaxing completely. And then dropping off all the conscious mind and going deeper and deeper within with full awareness. So the entire, whether it is Yoga Sankirtan or whether it is the Prana Tattva instructions or Kaya Tattva, all those are given for you to get into the state of meditation, to make you more meditative. There, if you are applying your conscious mind again and again and if you are trying to decipher what is being told, then you will actually come out of the state of meditation. It is like when you are listening to Yoga Sankirtan and like Shivoham, Shivoham, that is Shiva means infinite, Aham means I. So I am the infinite. If you are going to think like that, if you are trying to understand it, then you will miss the energy flow. There it is the Sanskrit language when it is said Shivoham. Here some other instructions are being given. That is in the English language. There is a difference in language, but the energy flow is what you should attune yourself to. So what was mentioned in the last verse was, when you face any negative emotion, now don't stop your sadhana. If you are feeling down, if you are very depressed, do your sadhana in a depressed way. Which means do your prana tattva sadhana and kaya tattva sadhana also with that depression, no issue. Because that will completely remove that depression from within you. If you have some other negative emotion, do the sadhana, don't stop the sadhana. That's all that was told. So it was never told that now you start expressing your emotion in an artificial way. Because you have asked in such cases, how do we exhibit our emotions? You don't need to exhibit anything. If you have emotions, they are already there. So let them be there, you just do the sadhana. That's all that was told. So sometimes what you'll experience is, when let us say you're listening to the prana tattva meditation and the statement is being made, now bring your focus to the subtle vibrations of something. Now as you are hearing that energy may trigger a lot of cleaning up process within you. It may, suddenly the memory of some traumatic incident may come in your mind, and tears may roll out, and it will completely clean that aspect, and then it will continue. There, if you see what does he mean by vibrations, now where should I focus, all that if you start thinking, then instead of receiving the energy, now you're getting lost or you're getting too involved with the instructions. Is it clear, Keshav? And this is also for all the other sadhaks, because if you don't understand this, then you will find there is a fight between your natural flow and the external instructions. So when I say do the deep breathing, I had taught certain special breathing techniques in the prana tattva. When I'm giving you those instructions, let us say some other breathing process is coming for you naturally. Now don't fight with it. Just be aware, but keep on doing it, because those instructions are meant to trigger whatever is required to completely purify all the aspects within you. So don't restrict the sadhana to the word meaning of whatever you're hearing. That's what you mean by instructions. So even in Yoga Sankirtan, the initial speech is there. That is not merely a speech. That is meant to prepare a sadhak. When, initially when the Yoga Sankirtan material was given, there are many sadhaks who thought, oh, I've heard the speech before. So they used to start from the musical portion. Then later on, during the empowerment program only, they began to understand, no, during that speech, if you do the deep breathing, that will set the tone for you energy-wise. Okay, so even other sadhaks, there is another sadhak also who has sent a similar question, saying that when you're saying breathe deeply, I'm not able to breathe so deep and all that. Forget all that. Just sit. The instructions are, the energy is being given to you using the tool of instruction. This is what you need to understand. So if you just go with the flow, whatever happens, allow that to happen. If you are able to breathe very deeply, breathe. If there is any block and you are not able to breathe deeply, don't worry. Just surrender to that energy. That meditation, that sadhana is meant to remove those blocks only. It's a question of time. Everything will get set, will become perfect within you. You just have to have some patience. So, can you kindly guide, sir? This is the guidance. Drop your thinking, overthinking, and start getting into the meditative process. That is, start going with the flow of the energy. Don't keep analyzing or thinking consciously during the sadhana, I'm saying. That is what you need to practice. Okay, so now we'll do the Nidhasana meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. The physical body, the pranas, the various emotions and thoughts are the finite equipments beyond these finite equipments lies the infinite supreme reality, Brahman. My consciousness is one with this infinite reality. This is the state of Brahman, the infinite. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. We had a very powerful session today. Whatever energy is being given, you will absorb it according to your level. As long as you are sincere and you attune yourself, and that energy which you absorb will push you to the next level when you do your sadhana. And as you keep doing your sadhana, your capacity to receive the higher energy will increase. That cycle will keep on continuing till you become the infinite. That is your ultimate goal. That is why you are listening to this message. Be consistent in your sadhana. Daily sadhana. Be consistent means not once a week and all that. All these sessions are also preparing you for the blast of energy which is going to happen on the Guru Purnima day. So we are going to have a special session. The higher energy will be invoked. This will be in the month of July. The exact date and all that will announce soon. So it is going to be a very powerful session, and the more prepared you are, the better you will be able to receive. Okay, so we'll continue in the next session. Thank you very much. Hari Om.